Welcome back. Today at Pointers Rest we talk about the importance of good solid fencing, just like this one, in order to keep your pets and your livestock contained. Yeah, she's working. So today I've got a couple of broken fence posts I need to fix down in the back paddock. So as you can see, I've got the back of the ute loaded. I've got some old star pickets I found on the property here, and we will use those to support the broken posts. Good temporary measure. Eventually the fences will need to be fixed permanently, but this will definitely work in the meantime. So also got my trusty helpers here. It's funny because my wife often says that I treat the animals too much like people. I don't agree with her at all. Isn't that right? Make sure you put your seatbelt on for safety. Alright, so we're back down in the very far paddock, down the back of the property. As you can see, we've got a broken fence post. So what I found is that just using a star picket to support the broken ones works perfectly fine. The fence isn't too bad along here, just the odd broken post here and there. Let's get cracking. It's a little bit windy today, so I apologise for the noise and if the camera blows around a little bit. So as you can see there, I'm using a heavy duty hammer to drive the post into the ground. Ideally you'd use a star picket driver. You may have seen pictures of them. They're like a hollow tube with handles on both sides. I don't have one of those. I find that I haven't actually needed one either because the ground here is pretty soft and the hammer works just fine. I'll secure that on with some cable ties. You can use wire. I just happen to have cable ties laying around. They work perfectly fine. Job done. Only about 6 more to go and this fence will be strong enough to keep my young steers contained in the paddock. So whilst I'm in this back paddock, I'll quickly show you behind me. You can see there's 3 beehives there. We keep bees on the property. The honey, fresh honey, is amazing. You can't beat it, much better than the store-bought stuff. And these are great for the environment and for pollination of the flowers in our front garden. Have I been stung by them? Yes, plenty. Do they hurt? You bet. But I think it's still very important to have the bees. If you've got this space, why not? And oh, hang on, I've just discovered this. This is very interesting. That is a wombat hole. I know it's a wombat hole because of the size of it. Definitely not a rabbit hole. That I'll have to keep an eye on, especially if I'm out here on the tractor. If a wheel gets caught in that, it may tip the tractor. So I'm glad I found that. That's just something to be mindful of. I'll leave it as it is. I don't want to disturb the wombat. I guess that's his home now for a little while. I'll also have to keep an eye on the beehives because they can tip them over trying to get the honey. So there we go. I should also point out that my wife and my teenage stepdaughter are the true beekeepers in this household. I'm just an idiot that sometimes has to move the hives, but they are the ones that have all the talent and the experience and knowledge in terms of getting the honey from the hive into the jars. They do sell products online, not just honey but other honey related products such as waxes and honeycombs. So I will put a link in the comments if you are interested at all in purchasing honey related products. There's my 4 young steers. I bought these guys to act as lawnmowers to keep the grass down, and they're just lazing around. Come on guys, get up, eat the grass so I don't have to mow it. Now the other type of fencing you're likely to see on a country property, or one you may even have on your own property, is electric fencing. So the boundary fence is commonly a steel wire fence, like you saw me repairing earlier. Internally of the property, and to separate paddocks, it's now very easy and very economical to set up electric fences using this type of cord here. It's called, I believe this one's called a thunder cord or similar. And what it is, it's a nylon rope, and woven in between the nylon are very thin strands of wire. Not sure if you can see that. So those thin strands of wire can be electrified, and that is what this device here does. It's an energizer. So this particular model is a Thunderbird, and I guess if I was to do a quick review of this particular model, I'm very happy with it. It was about $250, give or take, and solar powered, and it has its own internal battery. So the beauty is I can put this out in the middle of a paddock. I don't have to worry about connecting it to 240 volt mains power. It runs itself. It also has 2 settings. I can have it on a reduced power setting to save the battery, perfect for today's, like today where it's overcast, or I can have it on full power. So this particular model I'm very happy with. I've had it now for about 4 months, hasn't skipped a beat. The only thing you need to be aware of when you are installing an electric fence energizer is to have a good earth. What I've got here is a galvanised star picket, which goes down about 400 or 500 mils into the ground, and that's giving me my earth. If I was running this on a particularly large paddock, which this one really isn't, I'd probably have a couple of earth stakes just to ensure that you've got that good earthing point. My only criticism with this model is the cable they provide is probably a little bit thin. This was red, it's now turned sort of a pinky colour in the sun. That's after only 3 or 4 months. But that aside, and that's easily replaced if it was to fail, the unit as a whole is very good. I can highly recommend it. This one does, I think, it says here up to 2.5 kilometres of fencing. So you can have up to 2.5 kilometres of your thunder cord, which is obviously a lot. And this will power it, no problem. This is the S28B model, in case you're wondering. So if I just move the camera around, I'll give you a quick look at sort of the setup. So you can see the 3 lines of thunder cord. Obviously, if the power was off, an animal, in this instance we've got some horses in this paddock, if they were to just lean on that, they could push through it really easy. As a matter of fact, when I first got my steers, I hadn't set up my energizer yet, and they push through it no problem. Once it's electrified, however, they touch it once, maybe twice, and they won't go near it again. They learn their lesson quickly. It is harmless. I've touched it many times. Yes, it stings, but there's no lasting effects, so it's not harmful to the animals. They just learn not to touch it because it hurts. So the benefits of going this option for your internal fencing, so to separate different paddocks, it's very cost effective. If you were to use the traditional wire fencing option, it's a lot longer and a lot more labour intensive to put up, and it's actually costs more to purchase in the first place. Rolls of these are pretty cheap, they're under $100. I think this is about 400 or 500 metres of cord, and that would be enough to do the 3 rows of this fence in this paddock, no problems. One of my mates has just wandered over to say hello. As you can see, he knows not to touch the fence. There's 2 horses here on this property. They don't actually belong to us. They are here on agistment, and I'll discuss agistment in another video, which is another option available to anyone with land on how they can earn a little bit of extra money. Now, in terms of testing the electric fence, the unit will tell you it's on because there's a little LED light here that flashes and it pulses. So every probably 2 or 3 seconds it'll send a charge through the fence. So it's not consistently on, it pulses every 2 or 3 seconds. So you're not going to be an idiot and just touch the fence like I did in the intro to my video. You use a device which will tell you if it's successfully running and successfully earthed. If it's not earthed properly, it won't work. So how this device works is you plug this pin into the ground. That effectively works as your earth. And then this little bit here that clips onto the fence, and there's a light here, and if the light lights up, it will tell me that the fence is working. So I'll move you down here so you can see. So if I clip it on here, I've got the sometimes you've got to move it around. Alright, so you can see that flashing, that tells me the fence is live. So traditionally you would have the top row and the bottom row of the fence energized. I, however, have the top 2 rows energized and the bottom row is fine. There's no electricity going through that. The reason I do that is because my dogs run in and out of these paddocks, and I don't want them getting zapped every time they do that. It's fight night here with the mini goats. Now, I've got a second electric fence energizer here. This is outside the chook pen. Now, the reason I have a energizer here is to run electric fencing wire around the perimeter of the chook pen. As you can see the wire down there. So there's a very good reason for that is within the first week or 2 of being here on the property, I was inside the chook pen building a little house in preparation for the mini goats to turn up. And whilst I was in there, my large black dog Barkley managed to get in under the chook wire here, and he killed 3 chickens. The prey drive on my dogs is quite strong. They're German short-haired pointers. They're very sweet dogs, but their prey drive is really strong. And it doesn't matter what I would do, what sort of training, he was always trying to get in here just to kill chickens. So I ran this wire around. He's touched it probably twice and he's never been back. He will still look at the chickens from a distance, but he will not attempt to get under. We've had no more dead chickens. That's great. It will also stop any foxes if we have any come onto the property. It would also be very difficult for them to get under this wire without getting shocked anyway. So as you can see, it runs around the entire perimeter of the enclosed chook pen. Trampoline there is for the goats. Don't ask. You can see Abby there stalking the chickens. She too has touched the electric fence wire, and that's about as close as she will go. But as you can see, the prey drive is so strong in these dogs. They will still stalk the chickens, but at least they won't get inside the pen. And also importantly, to keep the dogs, we've got 3 dogs here, to keep them contained, particularly at night time and during the day when they're not supervised, or sorry, if they aren't being supervised. We've got the pen here. So the dog pen here adjoins to the garage. The dogs basically sleep in the garage. They have half the space in there. I don't need to put my car in there. And that keeps them secure so they're not roaming around at night. And also during the day, if they are unsupervised, the last thing you want is your animals running onto the neighbour's property and annoying their livestock. We're lucky here, we've got to know the neighbours, they're really cool. Our dogs have been on their property a number of times and they're fine with it. But if you don't know your neighbours particularly well, if you're living in the country, chances are you're going to have farming properties adjoining yours, and a farmer will not hesitate in shooting a dog if it's going to harm or upset the livestock. So just be mindful of that. Alright, that's the episode done on fencing. Just a quick introduction to fencing, I guess, and what I've done to improve some of the fences here in an attempt to keep animals either in or out. So thank you for watching. If you do like these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will try to get another video out soon for you all. Thanks for watching. Bye.